Hi, Seth. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to meet with me. To start, you are a Boston University graduate as well as the owner of HaleyStein Productions, which are two very impressive accomplishments in your life. So, with that being said, I'm looking forward to gaining some insight as well as career advice, and lastly, a basic and overall understanding of the advertising and film industry. So, with that said, I'd like to start with your education. So, with Boston University, specifically what your major was going into college, and then what degree you ended up graduating with.
Okay, hi Haley. Happy to do this with you today. I went to Boston University and I thought I was going to graduate with a degree in journalism. And I took a number of courses my freshman year and discovered that I, in fact, hated journalism. So I quickly changed my major to a film and broadcasting major. And I pursued that for the rest of my college career, and that's what I ended up majoring in: communications with a a degree in in film and in film and broadcasting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel what if about if you had majored in journalism instead and where you would be now?
I do. I do think about that. I actually came to really appreciate journalism much later in my life, and so I do think about that kind of often. I have a great appreciation now for journalism, a much greater appreciation for journalism now than I did when I first went to college. So I have thought about that from time to time. That's not to say that I'm unhappy with the choices I've made and the direction my career has taken. I'm very happy with that, and so you know, you live it. You go around once, and you end up where you end up, and I'm happy where I am now.
Okay, great. Um, Going back to college, did you have any internships that helped you decide that you wanted to switch it over to film rather than journalism?
I can't say that I did. I didn't have uh, any internships that really steered me in that direction. I had two sort of um, internships that sort of got aborted. One when I studied in Israel for a semester, and I found my way to a media company, and that lasted a very short period of time because I couldn't figure out the language very well. So uh, that internship sort of ended as soon as I got there. And then the other one was I had an internship at CPTV, which is the Connecticut Public Television station in Hartford, and that lasted for 1 week because they ended up cutting budgets and they had to let go of a lot of people, and yours truly was let go there as well. So two very um, boring internships that didn't go anywhere and didn't really help me in deciding what to do with my career. But um, you know, that, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Sounds like some unfortunate situations, but
They
thankfully
were.
up where you have, so that's great.
Yeah.
Um, so after college, did you have, or I guess, what was your first official professional job?
Interesting. So, in the same way that I came to appreciate journalism sort of later in life, um, I think that's sort of a metaphor for kind of my early beginnings in my career.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm kind of a slow start. No, I'm not a slow starter. I'm a late bloomer, I think is how I put it. And when I came out of college, I sort of played around for a little while, trying to find out where I wanted to end up. And so I ended up actually starting a video production company that did videos for weddings and bar mitzvahs and that kind of a thing. And I did that for a couple of years. And I think I got particularly good at it, um, but I wasn't making a lot of money, and I had student loans I had to pay back, and wanted to move out of my parents' house. So I
Mhm.
decided that I was going to move in a different direction, and I started doing freelance work for corporations, and ended up moving totally in that direction. And then one thing led to another. My name got out there. I met a lot of different people, and ended up doing work in broadcast, documentaries, and uh, and and corporate video. So that's sort of where I ended up.
Mhm. Interesting. I was going to ask you, because you are the sole proprietor of Set Design Productions and have been for the past 28 years. So I was going to ask you what steps you took to get you to that point. But I guess you kind of just informed me of that. So I guess I'd like to ask you instead how long it took you for Set Design Productions to finally get off the ground and kind of just jump right into it. Did you have any connections that helped you along the way to get you to a point where you felt very steady with your company?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually, um, it was a slow start. I would say that it took me a little while to get that first sort of freelance job as an editor, and which is sort of the direction that I ultimately ended up going in. I had met some people along the way as I was transitioning from sort of the event photography world to the corporate video world. And I met some folks that gave me great advice. One guy in particular said to me, If you want to make it in this business, you really need to become an expert in a
Mm-hmm.
particular aspect of the business. And so I was doing a lot of sort of production stuff. I was a PA. I was doing camera work. I did audio on some productions. But what I did find out along the way was that my passion really was in editing, and in the edit room, and putting the productions together. And so that piece of advice was very helpful for me in focusing me in that direction, in post production and editing. And so when I got that first job as an editor, um, it sort of snowballed for me. And as I said earlier, you know, you do good work, and your name gets out there, and somebody recommends you for another job, and it just, like I said, snowballs, and that's sort of how it happened. It sort of happens. What's that?
The domino effect of it.
Yeah, sort of the domino effect. Yeah, and in a good way in that respect. But
Yeah.
um, I was very fortunate to meet really good people along the way, and some of that's luck, and some of that is, you make your own luck. So yeah, things just took
Mhm.
off from there.
So, being self employed, you obviously work with a lot of clients. So, a question I do have for you is what are your best tips for working with difficult, shall we say, clients?
Oh, interesting. You Somebody once told me that as a freelancer, the one of the benefits is you get to fire your clients. Um, if you're fortunate enough to have a lot of clients, you can definitely do that. And I've said no to more than one or two clients in my life uh, because of either bad reputations or bad experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a benefit of owning your own company, and being a freelancer in that way. Um, but if you need the job, uh, and you feel like it's a good investment, that client may be a good investment for you, then sometimes you just gotta grind through it and
Yeah.
get it done, and just sort of make the best of things, right? I mean, we all do that in different areas of our lives, and so it's no different. I would say that you do have to enjoy your work, and so you should never be in that type of a position for a long period of time. If you find that you are, you just have to move on from that client. But
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like it's a stepping stone, or it's a good investment, then you should you should make the best of it and get from it what you can.
Awesome. Great advice.
Yeah, thanks.
Um, so you are a son, you are a father, and you are a husband, and on top of that, you are a business owner. So I'm curious as to how you balance and organize these responsibilities on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I'm fortunate that all of those aspects of my life are bring me a lot of joy. Um, I think deep down I'm a family man, and so I love spending time with my family first and foremost, and they are my number one priority. Um, but on the other hand, you can't spend quality time with your family unless you make a living and provide for them. And I've been fortunate to be able to do both of those things: spend quality time with my family and make a living, so that we could spend quality time together. Um, I would say that one of the advantages of owning your own company is that oftentimes you make your own schedules. It's
Mhm.
not 100% accurate because you do have to bend sometimes to the needs of your clients. But for the most part, you get to make your own schedule, much more so than if you work for an organization, a company, or
Yeah.
something of that nature. So that's a benefit. The detractor from that, or the difficulty, is that if you make your own schedule and you decide to spend it somewhere else, not at your work, you don't get paid for it. And so that's time that's lost. It's difficult sometimes to um, to take yourself away from work so that you could spend time with your family, but also know that that's time that you're not making money. Um, but it's everything in life is a compromise and a give and take. And look, I'm not the perfect father. I'm probably not the perfect husband. I'm probably not the perfect businessman, but somewhere in uh, that Venn diagram, I think it's called, or
Mhm.
wherever, the diagram that converges together, somewhere in there, I think I do a pretty good job of making the compromises and being a good husband, good father, and good businessman.
Well, I
Hopefully,
appreciate that.
You'll have to ask my family if that's true.
Will do. It's very thoughtful and well thought out uh, answer. So thank you for that. Um, Lastly, I am almost 22 years old. I'm going into my last year of college as a graphic design major, communications minor, and although I am not pursuing the exact same career as you, I feel as though I'm heading in the direction where I can be self-employed. I can kind of like follow your lead a bit. So I'm curious if there is any advice that you can give me that you wish you received when you were my age.
Um, I'll tell you. Well, first of all, I think we probably do have a simpatico because we're both obviously in creative um, career
Yeah.
careers, and so there is some sort of a relationship there. Um, the piece of advice I would say to you is that when you're young, you really need to take risks. I'm probably a pretty conservative person when it comes to that type of thing. I have a low risk tolerance, as they say.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't very good at taking risks. Um, but when you're young, that's the time to take risks. And if there's something that you really want to uh, do it when you're young, and go, head first into it. There's this sort of corporate cliche they have going around these days that says fail fast. And although I'm not big on corporate cliches, I think that's a good one because you do definitely learn more from failures than you do from successes. And so, you know, pursue things that are uncomfortable for you, because those are the things that are going to help you grow. And if they cause you to fail, so be it, and learn from the failures, and take as much risk as your risk tolerance will allow you to do. And so I wish you all the best. I wish you great luck in the future. Take risks, fail fast, and pursue the things that you're passionate about.
Well, I look forward to failing fast and taking those risks. But thank you. I really appreciate that advice, and I do look forward to taking that and running with it in the future. So that concludes my interview. I really appreciate again you making the time to speak with me,
My
and
pleasure.
thank you for sharing all your knowledge and all your insight in this field. So thank you again.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.